Reggie here, your fellow neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. It is the beginning of a holiday weekend, and I wanted to jump on here. Could not let the week get away from me without spending a little bit of time talking about House of X, which dropped earlier this week. House of X 3, incredible, incredible. And so I want to spend a couple of minutes here talking not about a big theory or anything like that. At least I don't think, but I do want to talk about some important moments that happened over the course of this comic that I thought were pretty cool. There were several moments where I was like, ooh. Oh, that is cool. And so I want to talk about those moments. There could be spoilers. I'm going to just be honest with you. I don't really know where the conversation is going to go. I don't know what people are going to say. I don't know how I'm going to react to it. But there's probably, let's just assume that if you have not read it, I'm going to spoil it in this video. So I'm going to just put that out there right now. I hope you still watch the video either now or later after you read the book, but hopefully we'll have some people join me here in the room here because this is definitely an impromptu kind of thing. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see what kind of magic can actually be made tonight. So I see some folks flowing into the room here. So let's go ahead and pop over here and look at the chat and see what kind of comic book soldiers have shown up on a Friday night. Luis is here. It is good to see you. Lewis is here. It's good to see you, my friend. Tina is in the house. Tina, how are you doing? Randy is here. How you doing, my friend there? Not sure how to pronounce that, and I will butcher it. So I'm not going to try, but I will throw you up there and say, good evening to you. Snizzle Pop is in the house. How you doing, my friend? Eddie is here. Gills is in the house. Sweet tarts for supper is not what you want to do. I'm going to just throw it out there. Mark, how you doing? Drop one of those G's and I am doing good. Just one G. Just drop one, keep one, and you are in the money, my friend. Chad, how you doing? It's good to see you. Armando Gomez Jr., how you doing, my friend? welcome to the live stream. Abel is here. Jen, how you doing, my friend? It's good to see you. Scrolling down through the names. Gibbon Gang is in the house. That's all I'm going to say. Gibbon Gang. Shout out to my buddy Alan, aka Hawkeye, aka Mr. 4077 MASH. If you guys get a chance, head over to my Instagram page. I put up in the story, this dude Alan, he took Gibbon Gang to a whole new level. I mean, he literally took it to a whole nother level. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, you definitely want to head over to RegieCollects on Instagram. Check me out over there. Check out the story and give a shout out to my man Alan, who is representing Gibbon Gang in new heights. Connecting Comics, how you doing? It is good to see you. So we're going to spend just a little bit of time talking about driving from Alabama to Virginia. Omar, how you doing? Be safe out there, my friend. She Spawn is in the house. Porter, how you doing, my friend? It is good to see you. Dragon Dew, how you doing? Sweet tarts for everyone. Boat Right family, how you doing, my friend? It is definitely good to see you. All right, so Eddie comes in here. I posted up earlier today. I posted up a comment on the community tab, and I said, hey, I'm going to try to go live. I ended up, instead of going live when I wanted to, I ended up at the beach, and then I ended up at the playground with my children. So that was good use of time. But Eddie commented up. Eddie said, I'm coming with some theories. He said, whenever you go live, I'm coming with some theories. And Eddie has popped up in here and he is dropping theories. He said, Omega is a sleeping giant and she's a sleeper agent. The whole issue takes place in the danger room besides the Sabretooth part. All right. That is a monumental theory that we will probably not dig into. I'm going to have to noodle that one a little bit, but that is a big theory. It is a big theory. No doubt, Eddie. So good stuff. I think that's one of the great things, I'm going to be honest with you, about what is happening right now with Jonathan Hickman is his writing, his talents just make you want to come up with theories. You know what I'm saying? Because there are so many nuances to what this dude is doing that it's really, really incredible. You know, Fernando, how you doing? Welcome to your first live stream, my friend. I hope that it can live up to the expectations. That I'm gonna just say it right now. I hope that it can live up to the expectations. Yeah, Jonathan Hickman is a super talented dude. We've talked about that, and I think that this dude is he is doing some incredible stuff. When you read the last Powers of 10, it was the best Powers of 10 I had ever read, that last issue. And it was really good because he actually, instead of trying to split his time between multiple time periods, he just dug into one time period and gave us just a really great story that I thoroughly enjoyed. Some of those interstitial pages in the back, when he started to get into some of the mathematical equations and stuff like that, they got a little too heavy for me and I need to go back and read it. But overall, the last Powers of 10 was really solid. Every episode or every issue of House of 10 has been fantastic. And this one was no exception. This last one was no exception. And so what I want to do is I want to spend just a little bit of time in this chat actually talking about a couple of important moments from the last issue of House of X, which was issue number 3. So I definitely appreciate that. So let's go ahead and start off with this first one. And I'm not going to try to tell you guys everything that happened in the issue. At least I don't think that I'm going to go that route. But I do want to touch on, I think, a couple of like pivotal moments that I thought were really cool from this particular issue. And one of those moments was right here. If you guys can see this, hopefully everybody can actually see this. This is basically picking up where one of the previous issues ended. And it ended with this conversation between Magneto, Charles, and Scott, where they were basically like, check it out. I need you to do this thing. And I need you to do this thing because if you don't take out this mother mold, we are all in trouble. And Scott was basically like, if it needs to be done, it shall be done. So we pick up here on Krakoa where Scott's like, all right, so I'm about to go do this thing. We have a team assembled and we are about to make some magic happen. And Charles is basically like, look, I can read your mind. I know that you're afraid. And Scott's like, yeah, I am. And Charles is basically says, look, one of your greatest strengths is not that you're not afraid. It's that you are afraid and you actually overcome that fear and you get the job done. And it was just a really, really wonderful exchange initially between, Scott and Charles, which I thought was really fantastic, right? Because Charles is always sending Scott out there to do some dangerous stuff. And this basically is like a suicide mission where it could potentially be a one-way ticket. And I think Scott knows that and he is up for the challenge. And then Magneto gets into this thing and he basically says, look, you are the founder. You are one of the founders of a nation. You will never be forgotten. Basically, if you go and you die, we will never forget your name. This right here was a powerful exchange between 3 classic characters. And I loved every moment of this little exchange between them. And there's this next shot here. I'll show you guys. This is actually when it really focuses on Scott, and I can't even read what it says, to be honest with you, from this distance, because it's really small. But Scott's looking over his shoulder and he's like, we are going to get it done. And so in the bottom panel, he is going out to actually meet the team that has been tasked with going out to the sun to basically take out this mother molds, which could potentially lead to the creation of Nimrod. And this was just a powerful mission where Scott is basically said, they are sending this dude on a suicide mission and they're like, you will not be forgotten. Like, go forth, be successful. But if you're not, or if you are and you die, we will not forget your name. I just thought that was a very, very powerful moment from this comic. So let me see what you guys are. Fernando or Armando talking about the Del Auto unboxing that I did a couple of weeks ago. Eddie is on point here. He says, Hickman is the Shakespeare of comics, best comparison he can make. The dude is talented, man. Just the layers of complexity that he rolls out, and he literally blows your mind almost with every single issue, and one of the things that I was thinking about as I read that exchange between Charles, Magneto, and Scott was I thought back to Apocalypse's statement. I think it was in like issue 2, where he basically said, if you if you can survive and rise above or something like that, I will make you something greater. I will make you eternal. And so as I read this section from, but this exchange between them, I thought about that. And I don't know if that's what Magneto was alluding, Apocalypse was alluding to. But that's where my mind went. It went to this idea that Scott essentially is eternal. He will never be forgotten because of all the great things that he has actually done. That was kind of something that popped into my mind here. So I'm scrolling up through the comments here, seeing what else you guys are saying about here. Abel's like, that was a boss speech. It was indeed. On every one of their parts, though. On every one of their parts, the dude that takes the suicide mission that is like, we are going to get it done. That's a boss. I'm sorry. And then, Charles, saying, I basically smell your fear. And he's like, go get it done. Boss move. Magneto basically saying, look, you might die, but we will remember your name. We will put something up, a plaque up on the wall over here in Krakoa. I mean, each one of them really represented, and it just speaks to the power of what it is that Jonathan Hickman is creating in each one of these episodes. It really is incredible. So I'm scrolling down through some of the comments here. Connecting comments, like he went to a comic shop in Spokane and they had a stack of Power of X issue #1. He said he started to pick up the whole thing. How you doing, my friend? It is good to see you. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome. Scrolling down. Sizzle Pop is like, hey, Spokane needs to get on the ball. Clearly Spokane is behind the 8 ball when it comes to what Jonathan Hickman is putting down. Almighty Liger King is in the house. H Factor is in the house. It's good to see you guys. So we are just moments into the whole conversation here. We are basically just talking about a couple of very powerful moments from the House of X issue #3. And we have just gone over essentially what is our first powerful moment, which was the exchange between Scott Magneto and Charles Xavier as Scott went out on his suicide mission that everybody recognizes as such. So this next scene, this is not a powerful moment, but I just thought it was an interesting moment because if you guys remember from the early issues, they were basically planting all of these seeds, right? They were planting seeds in various places from Krakoa that would basically be habitats and would allow them to move between locations. And we've seen many of these seed plantings already, but this one on the moon, I don't think that we've seen this one. And so basically, the team went from Krakoa to basically the moon, and now they are basically within spitting distance, if you will. I think it was like 25 million miles, whatever, spitting distance of the mother mold. So these guys are on their way in a Shi'ar, I think it's a Shi'ar spaceship, and they are headed towards what could be what could be a suicide mission. So I just thought that was a really cool moment here, in that it was something that Jonathan mentioned issues ago, and we are now seeing it bear fruit, pardon the pun, seeing it bear fruit right now in House of X issue #3. So let me scroll down real quick here. Azoro, how you doing, my friend? It's good to see you. Chuck is in the house. Porter is also here. It's good to see all of you guys. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our next powerful moment. And again, I don't have an exhaustive list of these things because it wasn't the longest comic, but I thought that this one right here was epic. This is some epic White Queen stuff right here. And so basically Sabretooth, if you guys remember, he, Mystique, Toad were breaking into a facility in one of the earlier issues, and Sabretooth was actually captured by the Fantastic Four. And in this episode, or in this issue right here, House of X #3, we actually find out where he went, which is like the next level raft, right? This is like the replacement for the raft that was destroyed in the New Avengers. I can't remember who wrote that one. You forgive me on that one, but it was destroyed in New Avengers. Might have been Bendis. And so this is like the next level raft, right? So all of these high-powered criminals including Sabretooth, are basically being held there, right? We haven't seen Sabretooth for a while, but we're now seeing him here. And he is basically like, he's having a conversation with the judge, the prosecutor, and all these people. And he's like, yes, I did everything you are blaming me of, everything you saying I did it, and I will do more because I am a killer, right? This is old school Sabretooth. And he's doing his thing, and all of a sudden he smells, I think it was jasmine or lavender, I can't remember. He smelled a scent that told him what was about to happen, which was the entrance of the White Queen and a couple of her cuckoos. And this whole scene, which I think was like maybe 2 pages, is just epic. The White Queen rolls in and she basically says, look, we are a sovereign nation state that is recognized by other sovereign nation states, including the United States of America. If you remember that from earlier on, they were like, hey, we are now a nation state. And in exchange for you recognizing the Krakoa as a nation state and mutants as a people of that nation state, we are going to give you medicine that will cure mental illness, bodily illness, and extend your life. I mean, it was like the perfect thing. So clearly, again, we are finding out issues later what Jonathan Hickman started earlier on in this series. So she rolls in and she's like, we are a sovereign people. He has diplomatic immunity. You must let him go. And there is just this fantastic exchange between the White Queen and the prosecutor and the judge and some other people that are in the courtroom. That was just it's classic stuff. And at one point, one of the people actually pulls a gun on the White Queen, and she makes a couple of comments, and she's like, look, check it out. I could just make you do really awful things to yourself with that firearm, or you can put it down and I will pretend like you could have stopped me and I will just mosey on out of here with Sabretooth. And it was just, and talk about boss stuff, right? Like every conversation is boss level, and that's exactly what this was. White Queen was in rare form, right? And the reality of the situation is she didn't have to do anything that she did. She could have just rolled in there, shut everyone's minds down, and just did whatever she wanted to do. But she actually handled it diplomatically, which I was impressed by. So connecting comics, like Sabretooth is a beast for sure. What's crazy though is, did you see how big he looks compared to everyone else? I don't know that I remember Sabretooth's stature being that large. Like, I remember him being larger than Wolverine, but Wolverine's supposed to be like, what, 5'2", 5'3". He appears to be monstrous in this particular comic. And so I want to go back and do a little bit of digging on that one, but I don't remember him being that large. So Eddie's like, Emma Frost is a cold woman, pun intended. Pepe Larraza captures Hickman's scene so perfectly. That shot of Emma walking into the courtroom reminds, I'm going to tell you, so well done with the Nas and DMX reference. So the thing is that it is clear to me that this artist-writer combination are in sync with one another. It is clear to me that Jonathan Hickman is super clear with his artist on like the vision that he has, and the artist is doing a fantastic job of giving form to that vision. It is incredible, and the scenes are just so powerful, so compelling. The dialogue is just on point. It really is well done. And I've spoken about this before, where you can read some writers' stuff who can write as deeply as Jonathan Hickman, but you get lost between the panels. You can have a panel on the left and you are reading to the right, and you will get lost as you transition from one panel to the next, because the writer and the artist are not in sync. And there is action that happens here that is reflected in the dialogue that you never actually see in images. These two are in lock sync, and they are killing it. Abel's like, I want the White Queen as my lawyer. Brother, I'm telling you, I think everybody needs a White Queen on their side. I'm gonna just put it out there. So Mark says, you have to wonder what kind of control Professor X has over a human mind once it merges with the machines. Oh, interesting. That is an interesting thought. So that we're not going to talk about this tonight. Oh, well, I wasn't going to talk about it on purpose, but someone else is bringing it up here, that there is this whole thing where humans can become infected by nanobots, and so their bodies are essentially taken over by these nanobots, and they become I guess Omega Sentinels, and then I think possibly even Nimrods or something like that. I need to go back and read that section to improve my understanding of that. But basically, the human, as they are being infected, recognizes that there is another essentially conscience inside their mind, right? They are recognizing the directives that are coming from the Sentinel nanobots. And so the question here that is being asked is, does Xavier have any ability to control the mind of those individuals? At least that's how I'm interpreting it here. And my guess is that he probably has some control or has the ability to influence those humans that have been infected, at least until those nanobots take over that human's personality completely. Once it becomes a machine mind, my guess is that he loses all ability to control them, because I don't think that he can control humans at all. So, almighty liger. That was definitely a gangster move. No doubt. So what if Charles wasn't worried about sacrificing any of them because they can be reborn through Krakoa, an explanation for them coming out of the pods? So this is actually something, this is my theory. This is actually my theory from like issue 1, where I talked about what happens if they're all pod people. And I don't know that we have disproved that theory that I went into great detail of back in many videos ago. But I guess the thing that I would say is that conversation between Charles, Scott, and Magneto would have been very different if they were going to be reborn in some way, shape, or form through Krakoa. And so it wouldn't have been, hey, if you die, we're going to remember you. It would be more like, okay, see you later, right? And then the exchange between Scott and the team with the one-way ticket and all that kind of stuff, in terms of they weren't bringing any seeds with them to attack the mother molds. They wouldn't be concerned about a return trip, if you will, if they were just going, if they had the ability to actually die and then again be reborn. I don't know that they would have been that concerned. And so, while we don't have a direct answer on the whole pod people thing, I think that there was a little bit of doubt that can be cast on that original theory that I had. So again, who knows? Who knows? Jonathan Hickman could write issue number 4 and just blow my mind, and now they're pod people all over again. Who knows? Who knows what can happen? Yeah, did you see that? So here's the judge. When the White Queen rolls in, the judge pulled his gun. You could see the top of the gun as he pulled it out, because he knew it could possibly go down. So I thought that was hilarious. So scrolling down through Connecting Comics is like, yeah, the perfect match of the artist, the colorist, and storyteller. Bro, I'm telling you, my guess is that when Jonathan Hickman rolled in and pitched this to Marvel, my guess is that they had a whole lot of conversations regarding the significance of what these issues could mean and this reboot could mean. And my guess is that they basically paired him up with people that they knew could execute, because the to your point, the artwork, the coloring, the lettering, the storytelling, the dialogue, it is all so perfect. It is all so perfect, at least in my mind, right? I think it's incredibly perfect. So I think there is something there. There is something new, something there. So scrolling down through the comments here, yeah. So Daryl saying there were times that Sabretooth was depicted as being king size, maybe in Gen X days. I don't know, but he looks massive, doesn't he? I mean, he looks like feet taller than other people, you know? Maybe it's like that 90s Sabretooth that's coming back. So we'll see. Scrolling down through the comments here, Eddie's like, I cannot wait to see Sabretooth and Wolverine in action together. Is going to be serious. It is going to be serious if those two hook back up. So scrolling down through the comments here, Yeah, so I want to dig into some of this stuff. Porter saying I was unclear on if the nano infected human beings became a Nimrod or if they were a machine. So the way that I read it, and I only read it once, to be honest with you, my thought was that humans could become infected with the nanotech technology, and that the humans would basically become omega sentinels, right? They would basically become omega sentinels in the sense that the nanotechnology would basically start converting organs and all this other kind of stuff over to machinery. They would basically become cyborgs. That's what I think an omega sentinel is. And then I think that omega sentinel continues to evolve, right? Because the Omega Sentinel still has some organic parts. And the way that I thought they were saying was that Omega Sentinel continues to basically have its organic parts replaced by pure machinery. And it essentially becomes a Nimrod. The question becomes, are there more than one Nimrod, or is there a Nimrod that is in charge of a hive, if you will? That's unclear to me, because you saw that Nimrod can replicate himself, because I think he's made of nanotechnology, but there weren't multiple individual Nimrods. There was a Nimrod that had three forms, if you remember from the last issue. I think that was Powers of 10, number 3. But that's the way that I think it goes, is the human becomes infected, the human becomes an Omega Sentinel, the Omega Sentinel continues to evolve and becomes a Nimrod. But what I don't know, again, is if there is one Nimrod that is in charge of a hive or what. It's just, I don't know. We're going to see. Scrolling down through some of the comments here, unless they could all clones, couple of things here. I don't know. Scrolling down through some of the comments here. So there's a video that I put up, and I can't remember which one it was, but in one of the videos, I kind of highlighted the 6 new teams that are going to be coming in October. So there are 6 brand new titles and teams that are being formed, and that are going to be released in October. So you may want to check out that video, because I talk a lot about those 6 teams, who comprises the teams, et cetera, et cetera. So you may want to check that out. So let me get to my next moment. And I think this is actually probably my last moment that I have saved up here. So let me hide that comment here. And I'm actually going to show you guys my 6th and final moment, if you will. And it's this one right here. And this is actually an interesting moment. So at this point, the X-Men have basically blasted their way, if you will, or transported themselves to the mother molds, and they have found a point at which they are going to try to enter the facility that houses the mother molds. And the idea is that they're going to break in, they're going to decouple this collar at 4 different points that Nightcrawler has identified. They're going to release these clamps in this collar, which is then going to allow the mother mold to basically fall into the sun and essentially be killed. And by killing the mother mold, they are essentially killing the creation of Nimrod. And so what happens here, however, is there is the recognition that the X-Men are not your typical fighters, right? They are atypical fighters. And so what the humans here and the machines were essentially prepared for was a standard type of fight. And so you can see this woman here in the horizontal panel. Her husband is the guy in the top left corner here. And this dude basically says, I believe in our mission so much, and I believe that mutants are such a threat that I am about to blow myself up, and I'm going to blow myself up in order to stop these mutants from gaining access to this station and thus being able to destroy the mother molds. And so where we are left with is an explosion. There is an explosion, and it appears as if the ship that the X-Men were in is blown up, as this gentleman blows up himself in the section of the space station that he is in. And so quite the cliffhanger that Jonathan Hickman has given us. And I think we will all be standing in front of the local comic shop to get issue number 4 of House of 10 this coming week, or House of X this coming week, because this was quite the cliffhanger. This again was another very powerful moment, I think, that illustrates just how far humanity is willing to go. And humanity, at least some humanity, is willing to sacrifice themselves because they believe the mutant threat to actually be that powerful. And so that is actually quite interesting. So again, I didn't pull up all of the still images of this issue. But when you look at it, at least I thought that it appeared that the X-Men, the ship that the X-Men were on, was actually caught in the explosion. I'm actually scrolling down here to see if I can find the panel. And again, I read this only once, and I need to read another time. And yeah, you can actually see it here. I think that's an excellent point that Connecting Comics is making here, is that if you look there, you can see that what is exploding is the back half of the ship, where the ship was attached to the station. The front part of where the X-Men are is probably not. It hasn't been engulfed, if you will, in any flames. And so I guess, here's the thing. The truth of the matter is the X-Men are dead. I'm gonna just throw it out there. The truth of the matter is, I don't think that they're dead. But I thought it was a very powerful moment where this guy is willing to sacrifice himself. Now, what's interesting about this is that the humans and the Omega Sentinel were not prepared to bring Mother Mold online just yet. They were allowing Mother Mold to kind of continue to learn and continue to evolve in the background. And I think that this was being done so as to prevent the outcome from the Days of Future Past from actually happening, which is where the Sentinels basically viewed mutants and humans to be all the same and basically enslaved and subjugated everyone. So they are allowing Mother Mold to basically continue to learn and evolve in the background without basically bringing her online, for fear that she could behave like a petulant child and just wreck shop on everyone. And so what could happen is that now that this woman has basically had her husband blown up, they could decide, or now that also the mutants have now attacked Mother Mold, they could decide to pull the trigger early and actually bring her online. And who knows what kind of outcome or havoc that could potentially wreak. So, or Nightcrawler snags one or two people and saves it. There you go. That could also happen. Daryl's like, my guess is that the X-Men will escape in a shuttle, but as they enter Earth's orbit, the giant Firebird. Okay. Hopefully it's not the Phoenix popping up. Hopefully that is not what we're about to see. Well done. Well done. Mark is saying, my guess is that Jean saw the bomb coming and put a shield around the team. What else? Yeah, you never know. You never know. That could very well happen. Here we go. So Reggie, I'm sorting my House and Powers books now. Thanks for giving live funds. Hey, brother, thank you for having me on the big screen. Take a photo, send it to me. No, but again, what I wanted to basically do here was just to highlight, I think, a couple of really powerful moments from this issue. And I really enjoyed reading this issue. As all of them, right? This one was just, again, it was just another really fantastic comic that I'm enjoying. And what's sad about it, the truth is that what's sad is that we're halfway through it. We're halfway through it. And so I have a feeling that there is a lot of just amazing stuff that is going to be forthcoming. So we'll see. I mean, I think that House of X number 5 in September is going to be a big one. Going back to the reading list here, those ones in red, I think, are going to be very significant issues. So we're going to see what happens in those. But next up, we get House of X number 4, and then we slide over into the Powers. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else Jonathan Hickman has up his sleeve, because I am definitely enjoying this stuff. So let me scroll down through the comments. Punish Comics, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. There's a comment here that they could have been teleported, which is true. It definitely could have happened. The thing is, the X-Men aren't dead, right? And I think here's the thing. They kind of made the point, if you will, that the X-Men aren't standard fighters, if you will. And so, this idea of attaching oneself to a station and breaking in through normal means, that is somewhat typical. And so, given that they are atypical, then we should expect something atypical to have occurred. And the thing is, Nightcrawler was there, and you also had Jean there. So who knows what could have potentially happened in terms of being able to get them out of that sticky situation that they were in. So there you go. So I'm scrolling down. Nathan McCall, you are hilarious. He says it's a big LSD trip from smoking all those flowers. Well done, my friend. Well done. Someone saying here, I hope there's a new spinoff series. Yeah, I think that the series, there's basically 6 of them. Good. Thank you, my man. There are basically 6 new series that are going to be dropping. I don't know if I'm going to be able to remember them all, but there's the Fallen Angels, there's the New Mutants, there's the Marauders, there's the X-Men. That's 4. Yeah, there's a couple of other teams that I can't remember, but there is a video on the channel that if you actually search for it, like Regie Collects / X-Men or something like that, you should be able to pull up that issue or that episode where I actually talk about the 6 teams and actually who's on those 6 teams. So we will see what the future brings, you know? So there we go. Excalibur is 1. Very good. Thank you, sir. Excalibur is 1. Now there's one more. I think there's one more if I was able to count those correctly. And again, I can't remember them all, but definitely looking forward to it. My pull list is about to grow. My pull list is about to grow incredibly. And so I'm not too excited about that part of it, but I am excited about a new wave of awesome X-Men books coming in. Yeah, we said Excalibur and we said Marauders. So yeah, we have those 2 covered, but I think that there was one more that has slipped my mind. And so you guys have to forgive me on that. So with that, a couple of reminders I'll give you guys. We are giving away a really awesome book this week, thanks to Go Collect. It is this book right here, Luke Cage, Hero for Hire. This is actually the Go Collect book that is being given away this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. I know it's a holiday weekend, but if you guys can join me, we will be giving this cool book away to one lucky subscriber of the channel. It is not too late to enter. You still have until Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific time to actually enter the contest. And then you tune in at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time to find out who the winner is. So I want to throw that out there just to remind you guys of that. And I don't know if I have any other announcements. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, one other announcement is that I want you guys to remember that I'm actually working with 3204 Auction. They are a company that I've mentioned on the channel a couple of times. Someone actually donated some really cool gift certificates from this company. They have a really cool service. It is a 9.8 CGC service where basically you buy credits for like 3 books for $40 each, right? $39.99. 3 credits, $39.99 each. And you basically get to then pick 3 comics that you want as 9.8s. If you get those books and they are on your list and the value of those books go up, you still own those books for $39.99. That is the sweet deal, but you only get 9.8s. And so you have the ability to basically sign up and say, I want these 3 books, whatever those 3 books are that are coming out in the future. So if it's like Absolute Carnage #3, you want that. Or let's say you want, the first copy of the new X-Men series in October, the Marauders and the Fallen Angels. If you want those 3 at 9.8s, they can actually get those books for you. If you use my code in the description of this video, Regie Collects, you actually save $25. So it's not a bad deal. It's not a bad deal. Check it out. If you click the link in the description of the video, you can actually go to the site. There's a whole video that walks you through the process. I've been working with the guy, I think now for like a month. Several people have signed up. People seem to be pretty happy with the service and what they're getting and the customer service and all that good stuff. So I wanted to make mention of that in case you guys actually want to take advantage of it. All right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. I'm not sure if I'm going live tomorrow, but I am absolutely going live on Sunday. Oh, one last thing. If you guys haven't checked out the video I released earlier today at 3:30, check it out, please. It is actually a product review of a really cool bag from Jim Lee. Had the pleasure of getting one of these things and testing it out at a couple of cons. And I think I mentioned it to you guys in one of the previous videos. So if you get a chance, check that out. But like I said, if you guys need me, feel free to reach out to me at Regie Collects on Instagram at regiecollects@gmail.com. And if you need me, I'm not too hard to find. Take care.